Now tuning in to Earbud Media. Audio for everyone.
I also don't know if it will come up on, I don't know if Audacity will pick it up, but I did just like lean back and I think my whole spine just like fucking broke. So if I'm leaning like Bella in this, I apologize. I just apparently haven't stretched in days. It felt good. And there was that kind of momentary pause where if you've ever like popped something, you're like, uh-oh, was that a good pop or a bad pop?
Yeah, have I just broken my spine irreparably, or am I...
Exactly.
Your body just released all of the tension it's been like holding up for like a week, being like, let me out.
I feel like more so than in past weeks or months or years, today and like the past 36 hours, I've remembered that we started this show in November 2016 last year, and I just don't understand how we mustered up the energy to do this on a weekly basis.
Oh my gosh. I didn't know you guys have been around for that long. You guys are literally like buttressing the elections now at this point. That's crazy.
Seriously. I know. It's unfortunate, you know. I haven't seen any news coverages talking about the Twilight Renaissance and how it influences the election, but we're here and we're trying to make it happen.
The correlation is there, and it is us. We are the Venn diagram.
We are the red string.
Yes.
It is us. We're here. Anyways, welcome to Into Twilight, the red string of podcasts.
Yes. Your favorite conspiracy podcast, Into the Twilight.
Nothing that we do is fact-checked. We don't want to be fact-checked.
Yeah,
we are just sitting here in our confidence, which is great.
Deliciously wrong. Commit to the bit.
Yeah.
If nothing else that we do, we really do commit to the bit. I am so excited to have you here, Viv. I feel like I watch all of your TikToks and they bring me such immense joy. And so it is so exciting to have you here in the space with us.
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited to be here. That's so sweet of you to say. Thank you. I'm just a doofus on the internet who's like, listen, I have sway over a very particular niche, and I am good at like 3 things that contribute to that niche.
Absolutely.
I have weird, mushy face. I'm really obsessed with Twilight. And the third one is sort of a wavering thing based on days. But that's really sweet. I'm excited to be here.
All of those things sound like you are home. Welcome into the family.
I found my
space
people.
For you. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, you are settled up by the fire. You are home at this time. If anyone doesn't know who you are or what you do, would you help enlighten them a little bit, please?
Oh, yeah, it's a very short update. I'm a content creator. Yeah, whatever. From currently residing in Georgia. So that's how my life's going right now.
Yeah.
But, great.
I specialize particularly in like Twilight TikTok meme creation, but I also am a music artist. I'm an actor, and I'm a big fantasy writer and reader. I'm actually writing a book right now, so that's fun.
Hell yeah.
Fantastic.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
One of my favorite things about scrolling across your TikToks is they will just be like goof, goof, goof. Complete belts of an amazing note with no explanation, and then back to the goofs.
Thank you.
It's just like, oh my god, I forgot that Viv just like...
The variety is there. It is strong.
Thank you. I have 2, I would say I have range, but I really have like 2 vacillating vibes, and some of it's like, we're gonna do Paramore today, and then it's like Emmett with bag of eggs. And then that's the content that I put out into the world. And I grew up on Tumblr. I don't know about you guys, but that was my renaissance into the adult world. I was like, oh yeah, this is how we exist. This is how real people talk to each other. To see the positive, like that positive energy, because Tumblr's long since kind of died out into this like really militant place for me, at least. I was part of like the RP community and whatnot, and that just became so divisive. And now to come back and just be like, let's just sit around and talk about like, you know, which Captain America character would be the most likely to peg a Twilight character? Like, let's talk about it. Let's
The
hash it
important
out.
things in
It's
life.
about time we had that conversation.
It is. You know what? In light of recent election, we need to talk about the most hard-hitting questions.
Absolutely.
Was Carlisle a Democrat? Someone tell me.
I just really need to know. I agree. Sometimes I try to forget about that time in my life, that I just spent literally hours of my high school life, like every day, just like tumbling on Tumblr, you know?
Stop.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I try to forget about it every single day.
Well,
just
I have
smooth
to
brain.
ask, like, which subcategories were you in at that time?
That's a great question. Do you want to guess?
Can you psychoanalyze us?
That's the new I'm watching Hannibal right now, so that tells you where I'm at.
Oh, hell yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't know. I feel like there's a little bit of aesthetic going on. Like maybe you're part of that community. I don't know. It's a very personal thing to try and see.
It is. And I'm so glad that you brought it up. This might be the most vulnerable thing I've ever said on the internet, which is saying a lot, as I've been on the internet since I was in 5th grade. Unsurprisingly to anyone, I was a super hulag bitch.
Yep. It's me too.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Oh, the shared trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was never into Doctor Who, but you know what? I saw those people as they went by, and I'm like, oh, they're so cool. Come to find out. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
We're just, y'all are built different. It's incredible.
Yeah, Cody, actually, if you could do me a favor and you could just bleep super hulag, actually, that would be really great.
It is a
just
slur,
keep them guessing.
so I will.
Were either of you into... what was it called? It was Homestuck. Were either of you into Homestuck?
Oh
my
my
one
God.
claim to fame. The only thing I have in like my sense of like I've made it to some extent is I never once read Homestuck. Never.
Me either.
And also, I've been seeing a lot of people trying to bring Homestuck back on TikTok, and I'm like, excuse me. We were finished
don't.
with this. We
Not in
buried
my
that
house,
shit.
in front of my salad. No.
Right, absolutely not. Fucking read the room. We are not bringing this back. We killed this rightfully.
Yes.
I thought we let that die. I also never partook in Homestuck, but I did listen to Taz Balance several times, and I think that's the same thing. So
Yeah.
That's...
you know,
Well...
it's okay. We all have trauma. I feel especially vulnerable right now. So I'm going to turn this back to you, Viv. One of the things that we do on the show is we check in about how we're doing, which is comical in general, but especially this week. I would love to know how you're doing and if there's something in your life at all that's bringing you joy right now.
Yeah, actually, you know what? This week... It's cold. You know what? I live in the South currently, which is difficult, but
Sure.
there's a lot of lovely people out here. It's not that, but it's that the humidity is always so difficult, and we don't really get a fall. So the fact that it's cold and it feels like crispy outside is actually really wonderful and very soothing. I have my window open right now.
Ooh,
it's
fabulous.
November, and it's like, wow, fall is really here. So yeah, just something simple about this week, because otherwise I'll go off on a tangent.
That sounds amazing. When I think about folks that are like built different, I do think about like living in the South. I could not do the humidity.
Yeah.
I think that is a stronger type of person than I. And so the idea that it is now crisp, which is what I associate with fall, makes me very happy for you.
Yes, thank you.
It's a mood, that's
You deserve
for sure.
it. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, guys,
You do.
you. I feel so validated.
Cody, how the hell are you doing? Are you alive? You good?
I'm alive. I'm here. I'm present.
Good.
My happy thing this week, I was doing a lot of like stress cleaning, or like not even cleaning because my room is a mess and everything is a mess. But I was like going through stuff and being like, let me just find new things that I've hidden in piles previously and see if I can spark joy. As I do sometimes, because that's my brain.
Yeah, it'd be like that.
That's a laugh of recognition for you. I totally feel that.
Totally,
It's
yeah.
like
The solidarity,
you'll
I
find
feel
things.
it. But I found, like, an old camcorder that I had as a kid. Just, like, I love to keep a bunch of old fucking technology and shit, because I'm like, this will be fun to use later, or to reminisce on things, or to be able, I don't know. It's whatever. So I found it, and I'm very excited. I, like, bought a charger for it, and I'm excited to maybe film some shit on a little doodad.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah.
I love little doodads.
Right, exactly.
That is amazing. I'm very excited. One of the things that I constantly associate with you, Cody, is just like having a whole bunch of old tech. For what reasons, I'm not entirely sure, but I just like, just this little crab just like holding a shit ton of old iPods.
I have so many like shitty like point and shoot cameras from like the early 2000s. I have my first cell phone just for no reason other than I want it, and I just think it'd be cool to have it.
I always wanted to be that bitch that had the LG chocolate.
Oh fuck. Oh,
when I was in middle school, I knew I wasn't bougie enough. Like, I had that kind of recognition at the time to know I wasn't the one that was, like, the sidekick.
Sure, yeah.
And also, like, the pocket space. You know what I mean?
Yeah, who has the
self-aware
pocket
too.
space for that?
But that really brings back a lot of memories, so thank you for that.
Absolutely. How are
Little
you,
space.
man? What's your thing?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm great. Teaching, listen, so 4 years ago when we started this podcast, I was in my master's program to become a teacher. And now, and during that time, I was like, oh, I could never teach during an election.
Oh.
And yet here I am
Yeah.
having conversations with my middle schoolers about like the faults of the electoral college, and they're just like exhausted, and so am I. And so that's been fun. That's been a fun time. Teachers are supposed to be like holier than thou, right? Like, we're angels. We don't imbibe in substances, and like we don't have political opinions because we're just
Right.
like, we only appear in the mornings to teach kids, and then we
I'm only
disappear.
a vessel
And
for
then you don't exist
information.
after that.
Yeah.
And then we don't. Yeah, after June, we just go into hibernation until September.
Seasonal.
And
teacher.
so we actually go where the spirit stores go. Yeah. We just live there. And then they bring us out every fall.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
So that's been fun, as someone who is opinionated on everything,
Sure.
to try and be like, let me give you an objective learning space here.
Yeah.
I feel like the bright light in my life is, yesterday we made a conscious choice in this household to not look at our phones just because, you know, life. And we decided to watch 2 movies that bring back like a really visceral middle school, high school vibe for me, and I feel like some of you might relate to this. We first watched High School Musical 3, which Chris had never seen.
Fantastic.
And it was just beautiful and amazing, and Kenny Ortega doing his shit. I cried like I always do. And then we followed that up with The Chaser that is Magic Mike. And it was a really powerful vibe that we were creating in the space, and I appreciate it greatly.
Oh my gosh, that's genre shift would absolutely knock me on my ass. That's incredible.
It was a weirdly sexual kind of environment that we were creating last night, but it was necessary.
High School Musical 3, the parts of it I've seen, that's more erotic than Magic Mike.
It's very erotic, yeah.
It is.
The unrealistic expectations that created in 8th grade me were a lot.
Yeah.
So,
had a profound
I agree.
impact.
Speaking of those, like, old-timey, what the fuck?
We are 700 years old.
We are all collectively Father Time.
Yeah.
I have been waiting for this, and so I'm desperately excited to
Okay.
hear about your Twilight backstory and how it started and how you are now. Can you map that out for us?
Yes. I started reading it when I was in my teenage years. You'll have to forgive me. I'm not very good at math, and I just don't want to right now. But I was like middle schoolish when I started reading, and I remember even back then when people were like, oh my god, Twilight's like the new thing, and I was like, ugh, posers, I don't want to do what everyone else is doing. I'm going to go over into my corner and listen to Evanescence. And so I was resistant, and then I finally picked up the book one day and was like, all right, what's all this fuss about? And then I sat down and consecutively read like the next 2 that were out at the time.
It'd be like that.
It does be like that. And I, to this day, I am that bitch who is like, oh, that sounds like something that's so trite and played out. I just got to see what it's all about, and obsessive. Yeah. And then it's like, that's my week. And so I did it. I read it. I got Breaking Dawn. I remember reading it, and I read the first 2/3 the day I got it. So I was up until 2 a.m.
Oh my gosh.
As like a 16-year-old reading this shit. I remember very vividly the first, when I was so enraged at Bella. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Like, just get rid of the baby, whatever. And like, 16-year-old me is not even on birth control, just like, oh God, motherhood is so gross. Come on. Just be a vampire. And so I remember that, and then the Renesmee and Jacob pairing twist that came, and I was like, I have to go to bed. So the most responsible thing I did was like, I need to go to bed. And then I woke up the next morning and finished the book. But that was my obsession. I watched all of the films. I always had was like a little bit like, this is kind of trashy, but also I also was like, I kind of love it though. Yeah. So when I stepped away from it, I was like, I've grown, I've changed. I didn't really ever pick it up or touch it for many years, and in that time I went to acting school and all this other stuff, because everyone talks about how campy the movies are, and they're not wrong, but I went through my really pretentious actor period where I was like, I would never make this kind of shitty art. I need to be creating Shakespearean pieces. And then I came back and I was like, no, this looks like it'd be so much fucking fun to be on that set. Oh my God. Especially later on when they're all like blitzed out of their mind and they're just like, whatever. We have a huge budget and we don't care. And that's really the art I want to make and create. It's just like, let's just have a good time. Let's hot fuzz this fucking vampire romance story and have a good time. So coming back to present day, I hadn't really touched or read the books, but I went to Seattle around the same time. A friend of mine was like, oh, you have TikTok? You should follow me. And it turns out that their ad is at Smallest Kyle. They post.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. A good
Kyle.
friend of mine, we went to school together. Love Kyle. They posted Twilight content. I was like, oh, what is this? New world. And so I'm scrolling through and I'm like, wait, this feeling of nostalgia and this very wonderful community. I came back to it because, like most of us, I'm stuck inside. So I'm revisiting things from my childhood to sort of feel comforted by, I say childhood, adolescence, I guess is a better term. I mean, obviously watching Hannibal, I was thinking about watching Sherlock again, but then I was like, I don't know if I'm ready to open up that door.
I need to do something for myself. Maybe not do that.
Yeah, maybe something else, anything else perhaps, but it may not be, a masterwork, but there's something incredibly earnest about Twilight that has me coming back to it and finding that comfort and that just pure enjoyment. And it's like, oh, it doesn't have to be like Shakespeare for it to be valid. Right. And wonderful, and it doesn't have to be, air quotes, good for it to be enjoyable. Yeah. So I really, that's how I kind of got back to it. And so I guess it changed from me being really frustrated at all the characters and being like, why are you like this, to coming back from an adult perspective and being frustrated and being like, okay, I know why you're like this because I've had time to experience trauma and stuff, but like you're also being really annoying about it. So yeah, and we will get into that when we discuss Midnight Sun. So
totally.
Dovetail.
Amazing. That sounds very similar to, I think, a lot of people's experiences of like coming back to it with a new lens of adulthood. I have a couple of clarifying questions of things that I was able to find on your TikTok. Could you please explain to me Wolfpack jeans?
Well, that's what do you want to know, my child, about Wolfpack jeans?
I would like you to tell me the secrets that are having La Push Baby La Push on your butt cheek, and how that helps your confidence, I would imagine.
I you know when women will like lift cars over their children when their adrenaline takes off?
Where is this going? But yes.
It's like that. It's I walk into a room and I'm like, I could kill any one of you bitches. Like, truly. I wore it to work at one point, and somebody who didn't know what Twilight was like, wow, your jeans are amazing. And I was like, thank you, I made them. And I was like, but anyway,
Very powerful.
The answer is, I feel like I could arm wrestle God and have a shot at winning when I wear those jeans.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. The other question that I had for you was about your theory that Stephanie Meyer would have Elon Musk as a vampire. Could you elaborate on that?
Of course, yeah. If you will please turn to page 347, you'll see an entire diagram that I've created over 6 years of study, independent study. I went off into the woods, actually, and studied him from afar. But there's a lot of old white dudes in the Twilight series, and almost all of them are affluent. I mean, there's all this discussion about how there's the insider trading, and you can't tell me that there aren't vampires on Wall Street. You can't tell me that and expect me to believe you.
That's what The Wolf on Wall Street was about, right?
Yeah. You know,
that's
absolutely.
Okay.
I just look at Elon Musk and I'm like, you look like you've been around for a really long time, because you have just there's something about his eyes. They're like dead shark's eyes. And
yes.
I could see him draining the life out of somebody. Like Bill Gates, I feel like would be a benevolent Carlisle-esque vampire, but Elon Musk would just want to watch the world burn.
Bill Gates gives me Marcus vibes. Just like really tired.
Yeah.
Yes. I like to think that Obama is a vampire. Because I would just like him to be around a little bit longer. He's a cool dude. He just seems
That's valid.
He just seems like he'd be cool.
Sure.
But
yeah.
anyway.
Our first current event for today. Cody, would you do me the honors?
Ooh. We have merch, baby. Boing, 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 boing.
The fuck is up?
Boing, 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 boing.
We've had, this is not a surprise, we've had merch before. However, this is new, this is that new for the holidays. And I am incredibly excited that not only did we have Maddie Padilla, who is like our god, our queen.
Yes, we love her.
Who has helped create our art at the beginning of this show, but now one of my personal friends, Christine, who I met 10 years ago in a supernatural roleplay on Tumblr.
Yes!
It's all connected, folks.
Oh my god.
The circle
was
of
able to
life.
was able to help create some of our merch, and I'm so fucking excited to share it with the world.
So if you've ever wanted a Ketchup Boy Corner sticker, if you've ever wanted Oops All the Pussy on a shirt, if you've ever wanted just a chill 19-year-old Rob with the beanie on...
Or one of my personal favorites, which is Twilight with the L from Glee.
Oh, of course. How could I forget? So important.
Which really crosses over all of the interests.
Yeah, there's a lot of overlap here. And hopefully there's something for anyone. And it should be live.
Yes.
If you're listening to this.
It is.
So.
It is live. And TeePublic has been doing a lot of coupons, like discounts lately. What the fuck just happened to me?
Coupons.
So enjoy that. I'm excited to see where in the world is the Debussy sticker.
Yeah.
So I wait the day.
I'm buying an Oops All Debussy t-shirt as we're recording, by the way. Like, I can't believe that. That's so fucking good. Oh my
I can't wait to
God.
get it on a fucking baseball tee and just wear it every day. It's amazing. We don't often do this. I feel like it's happened recently that we've had another BuzzFeed corner. But we do have a BuzzFeed corner. And I feel like this one might get a little bit, like, hot and bothered. Like, a little bit feisty.
Yeah.
Yay!
This is a Would You Rather from about the Twilight characters. And I'm very excited to discuss some of these with you. The first one, the most important one, some might say, is about our two dads, Charlie and Carlisle. Yeah. And the question is asking, would you rather learn baseball from Charlie or Carlisle?
Why put
Okay,
two kings against each other? You know?
That's what I'm saying. You know that both of them would do it.
Absolutely.
Like, listen, here in this podcast, we ship these two. They're the best. They're both husbands.
Yeah.
Charlie is the one who would be up next to you, helping you learn how to swing. He'd be playing catch. And Carlisle would be the one taking photographs to add to their family album. You cannot convince me otherwise.
Absolutely.
Don't pit two kings against each
come
other.
on.
It's just not fair.
Can I be honest?
Yes.
Because,
Please.
all right, this is a vulnerable moment, so let me just get it together. I would love to be in a throuple.
Yeah.
With that I would like to be a nice
Same.
little vampire deputy dad sandwich, if possible. With deputy dad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know, in all those movies where the guy is teaching the gal to like shoot the bow and arrow, and then he's like,
Yes.
he's like kind of up on her, touching her like her size. I was like imagining that with me and with Carlisle, who I think is like 6'4". Me, I'm 5'3". I'm like on a stepping stool. Where he's like crouched fetal position over, and I'm like, I feel so safe, and I just really want that.
Cody, do one of these would you rathers catch your eye?
I'm gonna go with, would you rather plan a revenge plot with Rosalie or Victoria?
I'm so glad that you brought this to the
Yes.
space. Now, why pit two queens against each other?
It's true. That's also such a great team, you know? If you had both
I
of them on
agree.
your side, oh my god. Anyone who's ever wronged you would not exist.
Listen, all I'm saying is I think the strongest triad in this fandom is Rosalie, Victoria, and then Emmett's bag of eggs.
Yeah, sure.
I think that if that is what Bella had walked into the cafeteria to see, she would have just like dissolved on sight.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
I think that is a lot of what what Stephanie Meyer was trying to do with Lauren and Jessica, is these just like, these two like really bitchy girls, you know, who just like hate everyone. But if it was actually Rosalie and Victoria, I would be convinced no men would be on this planet.
Yeah,
I think.
I think that's a safe bet.
Viv, do any of these would you rather's catch your eye?
Would you rather spar with Jasper or Emmett?
Okay.
Well, do I have vampire powers in
Ooh,
this?
great question.
I would imagine otherwise you would just die.
Would you rather get killed by Jasper or Emmett?
Would you like all of your bones broken quickly or slowly?
Yes. Sensual murder. Okay, so in this theory, just so I have all of the ducks in a row, so I do have vampire powers. And
Yes.
well, what wig does Rathbone have at this point? Because I feel like we have a pretty standard, you know, the king haircut all throughout
Sure.
Emmett's
Oh
storyline.
my God.
Like, I just realized it because I'm staring at this man, and he took a ruler, he took a protractor, and went directly across with a pair of, you know, knitting scissors.
Yeah.
Like, there was no
Absolutely.
layering done for this poor man.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would climb Emmett like a tree, and so.
Same.
Well, you know what? I'm just gonna come out and say it. He didn't fight for the Confederacy, so I'm down
That's
to
true.
spar with
That's
Emmett.
true. I do like the idea, though, the questioning of what era of Jasper's hair into consideration here, because it brings up the argument of not who you would want to spar with, but who you would want to destroy emotionally rather than physically.
Yes.
Like, what equipment do you have, like, on you to be like, oh, I may not, like, best you in a physical fight, but I can just roast you. And that, I think, would do it, and would be
That's true.
enjoyable.
Because that question did not specify whether it was in a physical or a verbal
It's true,
sparring.
it's true.
And I think that you could do both, of course. But I think that if you were in a space where you were not a vampire yet, I do think that you could roast the shit out of Jasper. And Emmett is pretty unscathed. Yeah. He just listens to trash music and puts it into Edward's head, which is fine by me.
I just realized I've totally forgotten about the fact that I would have a really hard time trash talking someone if they were using their magical vampire powers to make me be like sad.
It's true.
I'd be like, oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah. So he would definitely do that. He play dirty. And
And Jasper, as we found out from this book, has the power to just, like, not be perceived.
an icon,
So-
an introvert icon.
Which is especially powerful. Yeah. So there are a lot of important would you rathers there that we could spend so much time on. What I would love to devote a few minutes of our time on is to talk about some of these cursed Robert Pattinson photos.
Yes.
Oh, gosh, the lore here.
They're so bad. They're bad enough on their own, but when you see this photo
side by side,
of all of them together,
it's like Father, Son, Holy Ghost.
Absolutely.
Like, it's the heavenly trinity.
yeah, I do identify as a green sweater sun, a cage moon, and a Shav Robert rising, so that's fair.
God, this green sweater really looks like an absolutely genuine image. I did not know it was fake, and I'm honestly kind of heartbroken because now I'm like zooming in and I have like the fucking NCIS team in the background, and I'm like, enhance, zoom and enhance. Like, where is it?
Yeah,
Is
it's so seamless. It's also because, like, both of those photos are so shitty. Like, the actual face photo is terrible, and the background is shitty. So when you mold them together, it's just one perfect image. It's, like, totally believable.
It really is. Cody, could you tell us a little bit about this article that we're looking at?
Our hero, Carrie Ainsworth from the Tab, compiled...
I need to scroll away from
Yeah.
this sweater. I'm so sorry.
Look away. He compiled a bunch of cursed photos of Rob, of which there are many, and kind of broke down the lore behind them, which I appreciate. What I also appreciate...
Journalism at its finest.
Yeah, seriously, thank you so much, Harry. But what I love most about this is that the vast majority of these images are just because of Good Time and the Safdie brothers.
Yes.
They are almost entirely, like, with a few outliers, just the result of him doing fuck shit with the Safdie brothers. Like, first of all, I've never seen this cage photo before now.
Me either.
So that's something. That unlocks something in my brain. I don't know what is. I have to process this. But it's just him with his blonde Good Time hair in a dog crate.
Asleep.
Just asleep, but he looks dead. Like, he looks like he's in a casket. Like...
He has water next to him. He has a Dasani next to him. His phone on his chest just looks like he is conked out, but he has his arms like they do in caskets. It's unreal. Now, here's my real question. Can we talk about this funnel neck shy boy one and why that was every guy I crushed on in high school who I didn't know was gay?
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
That's every boy who does POVs on TikTok to, like, corpse husband's voice.
Oh, seriously.
And honestly, there's so much happening in these photos. What I hate the most is that the one at the end of this, the tanned pipe one,
Oh, yeah.
the otherwise known as the blonde bad boy, which again is from the Good Times, looks like my stepdad, which is really fucking something. Just so
Honestly, I think
sunglasses.
the Safdies made that movie to be like, listen, I want to see Robert in the most compromised way possible. I want to put him in stupid costumes. I want to make him look like a fool at every conceivable turn.
I have to close out of them, otherwise I will just stare at them forever. Just to end this on a really creepy note, we have some You Season 3 news. Nothing large, just some minor, just a little, hey, reminder that we're here.
Hey, this was a show that you liked.
This was a show that you unfortunately watched and talked about.
Yeah.
Penn Badgley, Short King, just had a son and is now back on the You set for season 3. It's, listen, this photo is not great.
No.
I'll just say that right off the bat.
It's scary.
It is scary.
Yeah, I'm scared.
It is Penn Badgley in what doesn't look necessarily like a face mask, more so just like what are those called? Gaiters?
Yeah.
He has an alligator on his face. And the alligator says hello you in the you font. It's spooky.
It's so spoopy. It's so large. It's so much of his face.
this is such a, like, shot in the dark. This is a very nuanced reference, but that's okay. The face that he's giving in this photo reminds me a lot of the portrait in the animated Beauty and the Beast of Adam, where he's just like, just like staring, and the eyes just move wherever you go. Yeah. But it looks very haunted, and it's scary, and I don't like it. But it does say that, like, they are starting to film season 3, so it'll be out eventually. I'm so excited to talk about Midnight Sun with you. Were you interested in reading this book when it came out?
I heard about it and I was mildly interested, and then everything just kind of congealed into one moment of being like, if I don't read this book, I'm going to perish immediately.
Yeah.
And it went from absolutely nothing, no interest, to I have to have this now, and I bought it on ebook. And I'm in the fucking post-nut afterglow of this book, and I am extremely opinionated.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to discuss it.
So, chapter 20, when we last left off, it was like Blood City. Edward does the suck, and it wasn't great. So when we start off with these chapters, I expected that we'd be getting a lot of new stuff that, like, obviously we did not get in Twilight because Bella is knocked out. Valid. Great. Yeah. Very much looking forward to it. I did not expect that chapter 27 was going to be another Ocean's 11 kind of space, but just in a car.
Yeah.
That I did not bargain for, of, like, Alice has her shit locked in all the time.
Yeah. Alice is in control.
That is... She really is the true alpha, and it is powerful. This chapter is really interesting just because I think a lot of folks have wondered for a long time, like, what was that mess that they created? We get a little bit of it, but we don't get a lot of details. And this chapter is, like, incredibly thorough with how Alice sets up the plot of Bella, like, falling through a second-story window or something. Yeah. It's so much that I was not expecting. One, she's powerful, so thank you,
we love
Stephanie.
Her.
Like, Alice is important and great. There were so many things on here that were just, like, the escalation of wild just kept continuing. Of, like, we're gonna create this scene so that Alice can go into the hospital and wear blue booties and steal blood, and then it's just gonna keep going.
Yeah. We're gonna heist from all around.
Yeah, she really had an entire chapter dedicated to basically what was a scene from, like, one of the Sherlock Downey Jr. movies, where he's, like, slow motion imagining how he's gonna do it. He's like, oh, there's a this and that, and then it's like, no, rewind. But it was incredible to me how many times Edward managed to be like, she wears a hoodie that's, like, 3 sizes too big for her, but she's still really hot. Like, just so you know. Just so everybody knows. And I love and respect Alice, but I do have two little words that kind of blow this whole Ocean's 11, Grand Theft Twilight out of the water, which is security cameras.
Well, yes, that's valid.
Sure.
I agree. For a second, I thought you were going to say skinny privilege, because that also came to my mind during this. Of Edward spends a lot of time checking out his sister. She, like, looks over at Jasper and is like, give me your watch. And he goes in this, like, thorough paragraph of, like, oh, it's, like, so big on her because she's just so small and dainty.
It's so gross.
She's wearing it like a bangle, but it's, like, hot, ?
It's like, but I'm kind of into it? I don't know. And also he's like, oh, that, like, sweater just swallows her because she's so tiny. She's so tiny and small. It's like,
she's an infant. Yeah. She is a literal child.
And yet it's, like, avant-garde, and she can do anything. It's like, stop!
It's like, hey, she is saving y'all's asses, all
your
right?
Your girlfriend is dying in your lap right now. Can you please
focus?
Yeah.
The vision plays out for me a lot. It gave me a lot of, like, Edgar Wright vibes, in the sense of, like, we're going to keep pushing on this scenario, and if it doesn't work, we're just going to restart from the beginning and keep going.
Yeah.
It was I think far more engaging by having it, for me anyways, of having it be all within a vision in the car. I think Stephanie knew, like, Edward was not going to leave the hospital as soon as they got there, so she needed to figure out a way to, like, tell this story in a different way.
Right.
It was very thorough. One of my personal favorite parts of this chapter is when Alice finally imagines herself in the hotel, everything is set up, and then Edward describes Alice as hurling herself down the stairs like a bowling ball.
Yeah, it's so... It comes out of nowhere. Nowhere.
The image is powerful. It's visceral.
It's a very prominent
and I just was
image. Like,
Yes. It all makes sense to
yeah.
me. The other thing, too, and it's clear, I think, in this more than in some of the other things that Stephanie Meyer has, like, older kids now, because one of the expressions that she uses when Alice gets her car washed is like, oh yeah, my kid, like, threw up tomato juice. Like, first of all, what kid?
Yeah.
And then also, what? Why are you just explaining it? But it was,
Tomato
it worked,
juice doesn't
I guess.
stain like that, my friend.
No.
I
No,
don't
especially
understand
when-
why we needed to have those details. I'm still trying to figure out what the blood in the car was about, if I'm honest.
Which car, I guess, is a great question, because Stephanie is not thorough on that. There's 2 different cars. Both of them have blood.
Yes.
For what, we're not sure.
Yes, all of this, yes. But other than that, excellent Tokyo Drift monologuing. I was enraptured with the fact that Edward James Cullen thought he could really go 180 miles an hour in Arizona, where they have a cop on every single corner. Like, oh my god. I was fascinated and appalled.
We don't need
It
traffic
was a
laws.
lot of audacity.
Fuck you, I'm a vampire.
Yeah, he was just, I don't know what he thought of, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna zoom, like, literally zoom on this freeway right now, pressing my, like, nitrous oxide buttons, my little go-go buttons, and assume that, like, everything will be fine. Knock it off.
Oh.
Knock it off.
You know, that would be excellent merch, is having little pins that have Go-Go 1 and Go-Go 2 on it.
Oh, fuck.
Oh my god.
Want that on my body now.
Just gonna write that down.
Because when
really quick.
I was like, I swear, and I'm not a car person, but it really does feel like Meyer, like, watched the Fast and Furious movies and then, like, this is how cars work.
Yeah.
You hit the button and it go. And
She loves cars, but not in a, like, normal, realistic sense. It's always in these, like, wild car chases. She's always just, like, naming numbers with letters like it's a math equation. She's like, yeah, I know cars, actually. So.
pick me.
I'm not like other girls. I,
Built
know
different.
And she does the, like, Debbie Ryan, like, ear thing. She's like, yeah, I know about cars. Shut up, Stephanie. Like, you
Shut
Googled
up,
it.
Steph.
You Googled it like everything else.
Yeah.
I am so curious to know about your opinions with chapter 28 because I have a lot of feelings about this one. How did this
Okay.
chapter make the both of you feel?
This is the moment where I turn on my disappointed mom voice, because there was a lot of anti-Renee dialogue happening in this chapter.
Yeah. We get some
Yes.
Renee content, and it's...
Yes. It is very judgy, and I really did not appreciate that. She was a young mom with Charlie, and she was like, I'm not happy with this life. I love my daughter. She's kind of like, honestly, if she'd grown up a little bit more, she might have realized she didn't really want to be a mom.
Right.
And
And I think
that
that's
her-
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like everyone's crucifying this woman for being like, he immediately, I find this a lot with Edward, and maybe it's the reason that he's attracted to Bella. Whenever he hears women's thoughts, he tends to be very condescending of them.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's not cool, Ed. You can't just do that, because and
No.
he's like, oh, she's kind of a narcissist. It's like, no, her daughter almost died, and she's got her own life. And there's more to it. It's fascinating because he's been around for 100 years and he still doesn't understand that people can be multidimensional. It's
No.
frustrating.
Never.
But anyway, I thought that Renee kind of got bitch slapped by Meyer, and I was like, that's not cool.
Yeah.
And also, I thought that Charlie was going to be at the hospital. Why did I think that?
I don't know. I'm so glad that you brought that up, though. So this conversation between Carlisle and Charlie did a lot for me personally.
Yes.
The tension is palpable. It is insane.
Yes.
I feel like so many fanfic writers read this and they were like, great, perfect. This is the exact thing that I needed. Because we get Charlie in a space where he's vulnerable and he's scared and he's worried about his daughter. And he's like panicky, which you would like never expect from like gruff Charlie. And then we get Carlisle being like ultimate Carlisle mode of just like super reassuring and super chill and like has this medical background to be able to explain what he's thinking. And it's hot, some might say.
Yeah, and also he's
Yes.
asking him questions like, well, do you remember the first time you were in love?
I did!
It's like, listen, buddy.
I
Come
want to
on.
know what love
I just want him to kiss once.
I just want it.
Stephanie Meyer won't let me feel joy. It's so
Where are the
disrespectful.
gays?
She writes them like this, and then it's like,
Yes.
no homo. It's like, Steph, no.
Yeah, and she expects us to think that they're
What
straight.
you've written
Like,
here
shut
is
up,
homo,
Stephanie.
so I don't understand what's the disconnect here. I don't.
I'm just genuinely curious at this point what she thinks homo is.
Yeah,
If this is no homo.
Homo sapien, human being. There was one line in particular that I highlighted, and I was like, I need to bring this to the podcast because this needs to be discussed. One in particular where he's like, Charlie goes, I don't even know what I would do if you weren't there with her. I was like, put me in a rowboat and send me out to sea. I am never recovering from this.
Yeah.
No. Oh my god.
And yet Esme and Carlisle are like, yep, we love each other.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Great.
Yeah, for sure. Wink, Stephanie. Wink. So that was the first conversation, because this is titled 3 Conversations, because Stephanie is as subtle as a fucking gunshot. Then the second conversation that we get is with Renee. I am so intrigued by the way that Stephanie has written Renee in this. The way that Edward describes her is like she has abilities, which is wild. And I think that he thinks that it's... I don't know, actually. This is like one of the only times that I feel like I cannot resonate with this Gemini man. But he spends a lot of time thinking about like what Renee would be like as a vampire, because her thoughts are just so loud. Like, she's just so loud all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, she's like, people, I don't think the other vampires would like her, because she's like, so loud. And I'm like, maybe you're just nosy. Why don't you just tune her out, my guy? Like, it sounds... He compares her to Jasper's abilities in the sense that she's like... People can kind of pick up on her energy and want to take care of her. Like, she attracts caregivers naturally.
Yeah.
And... But he describes it as, like, a crude version of that. Like, a sort of like a shittier version of what Jasper does. Like, I don't remember exactly how he phrased it, but it was once again very judgmental. Gemini. But yeah, it's fascinating because you then think about it in contrast to Charlie and the fact that he's never considered Charlie to be a vampire. Because despite the fact that he's never met anybody like Charlie who thinks like he does before. And I mean, the contrast of Charlie having these very subdued nonverbal thinking, which is how I would assume most people think. And then you have Renee, who's got these intense punches of like verbal, I can't even.
Renee's like the
word.
monologuing, constant monologue
She
in your
is,
brain kind of thinker.
yes.
And he's just like,
Yes.
I can't do this right now because I can hear everything. I need you to
The
stop.
way that Edward describes Renee reminds me a lot of... I don't know if this is accurate, but Renee gives off a lot of Aries energy to me. Of, like, very youthful, just needs, like, constant... Like, will adamantly say that she doesn't need help, but, like, needs a lot of help.
Yeah.
And I'm personally on the camp that, like, Renee has provided a lot of trauma on Bella.
Yeah.
And so I think that the way that this is described, I think connects a lot of dots from what was already set up from her. Do I think that it's the best choice? No, but I think it certainly as fuck explains a lot of like why Bella was taking care of her mom, like being the parent in this space. If this is the way that Edward is trying to rationalize like her, whether it's narcissism or just like being young, and just like needing a lot of help here, I think that it makes sense why it appealed to Bella so much. If like she can just be standing in a corner thinking really loudly and other people are drawn to it, which is such an interesting, that's a really interesting way to describe things. The other thing that made me incredibly uncomfortable about all of this is that Renee is like attracted to Edward.
It's too horny. It's so horny.
Yeah.
It's not great. It's not a good thing that's happening here.
So handsome.
I know. It does encourage him to do a lot of thinking specifically about the pomegranate seeds, which we haven't heard from in a while. And I hated it a lot. Made me very upset. I wanted to know your thoughts on this last conversation between essentially James and him. Because I feel like this is what a lot of people have written fan fiction about over the past 10 years. And now to get it from Edward's side, I think is interesting.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of him like hating himself, of course.
That
new?
doesn't get tired at all.
This scene to me felt a lot like something you'd see in a soap opera. Of just like this like really stoic man who's like thinks he plays his cards really well, like close to his chest, but he does not. And now he's just like, I already killed you, but I'm gonna watch your monologue-y video and be super angry about it in a church because I'm subtle.
Yeah, that, you know what? That's why I'm mad. That's why I'm mad. It's because, motherfucker, what did you think? What did you think was gonna happen?
Yeah.
Like, he went after the woman. He went after the human woman that you created an obstacle for him to get over. And then you're, like, going through all this panic, and then she's okay, and everything's kind of fine. Like, he's dead. You saved the girl. You get everything that you want, and then you sit down and you have this moment where you're like, oh, wait, it was all my fault. It's like, yes, bitch, it was! But, like, I thought we were past this. Yeah. It's like a narrative concept. Like, I just
like, what
don't
are you
understand.
gaining from just being confirmed again and again and again that all of this was your fault, which is something he already thought, right? He was always like, the entire fucking thesis of this book, he's like, I am dangerous and she shouldn't be with me because I'm only gonna put her in harm's way. And then here's video evidence of him directly putting her in harm's way, and he's like, oh man. Like, it's like, buddy,
I'm shocked and appalled.
Right, it's like, are
we
surprised? This falls into your narrative.
One of my favorite things about Edward, just because I relate to it a lot, is like, yes, he is in a situation right now where like Bella is considered stable by all of her doctors. She is just fucking out because she needs to heal. Yeah. And so everything right now is like taken care of and on his side. And he's like, but what if I suffer more? What if I just stay in this moment of pain? Yeah. It's just so annoying. Especially at the end, subtle queen Stephanie does a lot of God talk, which Edward is not, and he's like, I don't have a God because I am above God, but I am going to talk to her God, Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Like, stop it. It's just
you have a literal cross in your house. I've never once heard Bella even remotely talk about religion at all. Like, as far as we know, she's Wiccan. Like, don't sit here just be like, I need absolution. I need absolution from anything. But I'm not religious because I don't want religion in my book. Like, it's not, it was very
the
frustrating.
Audacity for him to say, like, I'm going to pray to her God. And it's like, we don't fucking know if Bella's religious. Stop it.
Yeah.
We don't know that. That's quite the leap to take, sir.
Yeah. And I don't mean to be judgy. I'm sure he's also been traumatized by this experience. for the amount of time that he has been alive and the amount of accidental condescension that he has towards Bella and her decisions about her life, about how she wants to live her life, and the fact that she's like, I've made my decision, like, I found you, and that's it, and this is it for me. Like, I know in my soul that this is right. So for him to turn around and be like, I've been around for 100 years, like, I know better, and then to turn around and be like, yeah, but, you know, it's really sad. I'm really sad. I'm sad.
Yeah.
Like, you need to go to vampire therapy, babe. Like, you can't tell me that there's no practicing therapist who's also a vampire. Like, I'm
now
sure.
that's the story I want to hear about.
Yes.
Yeah, let's go. Come on.
I am very curious. So next week we're going to be finishing up this book, which has felt like it's gone on for a really long time. And I am very curious to see what we know of from Edward's perspective already, where he tries to like break up with Bella. It'll be interesting, also sad, I imagine, in his head when that happens. But it will be very satisfying to finally have a closure to this like almost 700 page book.
Lord.
That's taken us a long time to read.
Yeah. It's taken it all out of me.
Yes, it is exhausting.
Well, I have a question for you two. Would you want to read a New Moon that was from Eddie's perspective?
Eddie boy.
Oh my god,
Eddie
please.
boy.
That's what I've wanted since we heard about Midnight Sun as like partial draft 4. That is, I have wanted it so much, but I also know, like, I unfortunately understand a lot about Edward's head just because I'm also Gemini. And so I also like to wallow in sad things. But I know, unfortunately, that it's never going to happen, and it makes me sad.
Why? Why wouldn't it? But why wouldn't it?
I think Steph said it makes her too sad to be in his head, right?
Are you serious?
Yeah, because she's like, he is so
Stephanie-
anxious, and it puts her in a weird space writing him because he's so just full of anxiety.
I have no response to that. I have no
That's
response.
fair.
You are a professional and internationally recognized author. It's like, okay, I just don't want to do woodworking today because woodworking makes me sad sometimes. Like, I'm sorry. Do you want money though? I mean, we could talk about the wolf man having coitus with a person he's known since she was a child. Like, that's fine, but
The fact that she
we're
so
sad
quickly
for a
leapt to that
second.
instead of doing any other version of the book, it was like, why was that
Yes.
the next one out the bat? What?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
You know, her editors were just, I mean, her editors this whole time have been trying to give Stephanie recommendations that she has so blatantly ignored.
Yeah.
But I feel like that one in particular, they were like, hey, Steph, not a good look. Steph,
No.
don't.
Please.
And she
Please.
was like, suddenly I cannot hear. Suddenly I cannot read. I don't.
It's like I've already written 800 pages. Do you want me to stop? Because I think this is millions of dollars I have.
This is
I'm
good
sitting
shit
on,
right
so-
here. Yeah.
Do you know what I could go on for 800 pages about is
What?
how much I love our patrons.
Ooh, look at that segue.
Thank you so much.
Ooh, powerful.
Cody, would you like to start us off
Absolutely.
this time?
Welcome to our newest patron, Althea Johnson. Whoa.
Pew, 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 pew.
Our girl or person, Mallory Hardwick. Thank you.
Pew, pew, pew.
Beep, 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 beep.
Shout out to Katie Black. Thank you.
Wow.
Ooh, ooh.
Woo!
Shout out Kylie Minty.
Looking fresh. Elizabeth James.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you to Jess Love.
Thank you, Alex Dornan.
Da, da, da. Thank you, Carrie Goldberg.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Claps for Mickey Meyer. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Shout out Zoe Steele.
Yes. Hello to Rebecca Cullen. Thank you for your $7.
Ooh.
Yay.
Thank you to Amy Taylor.
Thank you, Molt Gray.
Thank you for having the best name.
Yes.
Constantly brings us joy.
Thank you, Taylor Browntown Law.
Oh, yes.
our unofficial intern. Thank you to my mom, Kelly Beck.
Woo!
Yay!
Thank you, Aaron Salinger.
Yay! Thank you to Sophia Salinger.
Bing, bing,
Ba, ba,
bing,
ba,
bing.
ba.
Thank you to Donna Kavanaugh.
Ooh.
Do, 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 do,
Thank you,
do, do.
Danae Swan.
Yay! And thank you, Jessica Hale.
Ooh.
Yay!
We did it!
Yay! We did it. I am so excited to know about what fan fiction that you brought to the space.
Well, I figured we'd keep it in the family, and I have brought the original PDF version of Master of the Universe, which is the original 50 Shades of Grey fan fiction.
Oh, shit.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's
Yes,
remember
I-
our history, all right?
Yeah, our roots. Return to our roots. I picked out a couple of different sections because it's terrible. It is not well written, but it is enjoyable to read. And so I picked out a couple different random pieces throughout. This is from the beginning. Oh no, I had not bargained for this. The clothing section is this way, I practically whimper. Ew. What follows has to be the most uncomfortable experience in my camping sales career, the nadir of my time at Newton's. I've captured a Greek god in our changing rooms, and I'm handing him lightweight walking trousers. How did this happen? By the time he's chosen a pair that are navy blue, I am the color of the Communist Manifesto.
Oh my god.
Excellent. The rules. Let's talk about them. The food is a deal breaker? Yes. Can I modify to say that you will eat at least 3 meals a day? No. I'm so not backing down on this. No one is going to dictate to me what I eat. How I fuck? Yes. But eat? No. No way. He clasps my hand. Outside of the time you're my sub, perhaps we could try. I don't know if it'll work. I don't know about separating anything. It may not work, but I'm willing to try. Maybe one night a week, I don't know. Holy crow. My mouth drops open. My subconscious is in shock. And then in italicizing. Edward Cullen is up for more! ! Okay.
Whoa.
I just want to say, if anyone were to say holy crow to my face, I would just walk into the sea and let it take me.
Absolutely.
I think we should bring it back. I don't know if it was ever here, but I think we should bring it to the cultural zeitgeist. Holy Crow is very fun.
Yes, I agree. In an absolutely contrarian form that is super good for comedy, I am anti-Holy Crow because this is an anti-birds space that I'm trying to create.
True. You're strong in your brand and your convictions, and I respect you for that.
But I do appreciate the commit to saying that no one says. Viv, where on the internet can folks go to support your work?
Well, you can always find me on TikTok at Skooma Thurman. That's at SKOOMA Thurman.
Such a
like
good
Uma
name.
Thurman.
Such a good name.
Thank
So
you.
good.
Good.
And you can find me on YouTube. I'm actually going to start a series where I review entire series of books
Ooh.
and try to make them comedic for like under 10 minutes. Right now I'm reading the Throne of Glass series, so you can find me on Vivian Vaeth. That's just my name on YouTube. And I'll hopefully have that guy out in the next month or so,
Hell yeah.
depending on how fast I can get these books done.
Amazing.
But yeah, that's mainly the two places that I am. I guess you can also follow me on Twitter. I'm on there occasionally, and usually it's to like post thoughty selfies of myself.
Hey.
Same name at Skooma Thurman. And yeah, that's me. Thank you guys so much for having me. This has been a
Amazing.
true delight.
It has been a joy to have you here. Thank you so much for bringing all of your thoughts and hilarity to the space. It has been incredibly welcome, as always, but also especially today in the worlds that we have. It is very good to have. Next week, last thing for Midnight Sun, which for a while, thank God. So, as we say here in the Pacific Northwest,
Get bit.
and get whipped.
Ooh. Yeah. Into the Twilight is an Earbud Media production. Our theme music is by Eli Krause, and our artwork is by Maddie Padilla. Follow the show on Twitter at Into the Twilight, and support us on Patreon at patreon.com/intothetwilight. Send us an email or a fanfiction at intothetwilightshow@gmail.com. You can find Allie at Into Wild Places and me at Cody Crow.
You've been listening to Earbud Media Production. Earbud Media, audio for everyone.